capital base.
So Rajesh, you think that these measures will go a long way? Let me also bring in Mr. Sunil Subramaniam on this. Hi, Sunil, how do you see these measures? Now, the basic aim of SEBI was to curtail retail investors from losing money. Do you think that these measures will essentially provide for that?
Yes, I think so. I think they will work towards that. And you will see that retail will probably, and you can connect this to yesterday's regulation around the new investment strategy set of schemes that MS can launch where naked shorts are going to be allowed by fund managers. So this will probably drive them to a more regulated piece of the market rather than trying to do on their own. So I think on the whole, it's something that will protect retail investors.
All right. Sunil, stay with us. I think we've also got Agam Vakil joining in with a question for you. Agam, I think you have a question for Mr. Subramaniam. Please go ahead.
Right, Mr. Subramaniam, my question actually is to do with the kind of impact that we may see on listed players. One of them, of course, is the BSE, which in fact did see a considerable rise in not only its revenue and bottom line, but we've also seen a lot in terms of price action. And Mr. Subramaniam, again, I understand if you can't be stock specific, but in general, in terms of the kind of impact that it can have with respect to revenues for exchanges, it could be substantial because ever since we've seen that introduction of weekly options expiries, we've also seen a little bit of surge in revenues. That's one. And the second impact, of course, is the discount brokers. There are several out there which in fact have seen once again an increase in revenues on account of the churn in activity that we've seen. Going forward, do you think that there could be some amount of weakness that we could expect on not just exchanges, but brokers as well from the listed space?
Yeah, I agree with you. That there will be definitely impact. In fact, Mr. Kamath of Zerodha had hinted at this when they did quarterly earnings thing, and he was discussing it. He said that, look, I don't expect this to last for very long because I expect SEBI to come out with strong measures. And these brokers were actually making money off the F&O trade because they're offering free, otherwise broking the thing. So definitely, I see an impact on the margins for both discount brokers as well as exchanges. To what extent the market prices will reflect that is anybody's guess, but definitely there will have to be a re-rating of these. I agree with you there.
Mr. Subramaniam, going forward, what are the kind of measures that a lot of these exchanges and brokers will have to take in order for them to cover up these losses? There's plenty of innovation in terms of the kind of products that are putting up, but it just seems like all the products that are being introduced is to largely entice the speculative corner of the market participants at the moment. But I'm sure that can be plenty which can be done going forward in terms of investments as well. At the end of the day, how do you also see that the foreign investors will look at this development? Because in many of these developed markets, we do see a relatively free-flowing take on the derivatives. In fact, leverage is potentially can be taken to infinity. How do you think the foreign investors will see this?
I think the short-term foreign investors will definitely be concerned because this will impact liquidity in the market. So if a significant chunk of retail investors is going to be leaving this space in the market, so their ability, they will factor in certain extra caution on the ability to sell. So what will the losses be, the transaction cost be when they come to sell or do a counter trade? So definitely there will be some reassessment. But I think overall, if you saw, like these prop books of these FIRs and all have been making a lot of money. So it's just a readjustment there. But I can't say that it will be without impact. Definitely there will be an impact on them in terms of the liquidity in the Indian market. The factor that they put in to correct for that, right, compared to other emerging markets. Definitely there, India would come off a little bit worse at this point in time compared to what it was before this regulation.
Sunil, one question from my end to you. Do you see now that there would be a significant decline in the way the retail participation or retail individuals participate in this market, given the fact you have tightened the norms with respect to size of the contract, intraday margins, extreme loss margins, and all other, measures which have been taken, will it dissuade retail investors from coming into the F&O market?
I would like to take the answer for this from a correlation to a completely different industry, and that's the gambling industry. And I've seen in Singapore, where I'm currently based, that no amount of these restrictions prevents a gambler from reducing his thing. The gambling instinct will come in. So I don't think it's just that their cost and their losses will probably go up, but they can't be prevented from taking these funds. So I don't expect any significant drop there, but definitely because of these, their costs and their losses will go up. But that's part of the game. So essentially, if you look at these, I think market frequently uses the term investors for these people. I don't think they are investors, they are speculators, as you rightly put it. And so for a speculator, it's always a risk-reward play, right? Now the costs have gone up, so you'll expect a higher reward, and its trades will be accordingly that way. So I actually expect that they will now take even more risk to compensate for these additional costs. So the gambler's instinct will never go away.
Also, if you can bring in some context to what is the kind of dynamics change that will happen now to the entire broking industry, because the entire discount broking industry, flourished in the last 4 to 5 years because of the kind of inflow of new investors coming into this market, and especially into the F&O market. Do you see now some consolidation happening within the industry as a result of this hit?
I would expect that in the natural course of time, because obviously the kind of margins, and they've been running on a kind of fabulous ride. I don't think that was sustainable, and to the extent that the market assumed that was sustainable, there will need to be a correction in terms of their re-rating. But I think that there will be consolidation, because ultimately now it will become more of a volume game. The only way you can compensate these losses is by increasing the scale. So I do expect some amount of M&A to happen here, so that the big scale players can then manage these things. So yes, I do think that there will be consolidation and some amount of M&A here.
All right. All of you, gentlemen, do stay with us. Let's also bring in Charu very, very quickly. Charu, obviously the aim of the regulator has been to curb a lot of retail investors who have burnt their fingers from doing more so. Now, these regulations, I understand, come into effect on the 20th of November.
Yes. Hi, Nupur.